Hello, and welcome to the Steve and Mark Discuss podcast, where Steve looks at the media architecture around the world, offers up a few bricks, and I have to tap them and make a material assessment of them. Anyway, over to Steve.
Hi, people. So, on Sunday, uh, a guy called Josep Borrell, he's the EU Foreign Policy Director, or spokesperson, or chief. Uh, he published an article saying that the fact that the EU is not importing things from Russia, that the sanctions against Russia are working. However, what he doesn't what he didn't take into consideration is the fact that Russia, instead of selling energy, which is a principal commodity from Russia, as Russia wasn't selling to the EU, they opened other markets with both China and India, and so the Russian economy is working very well. Thank you very much. Looking to the EU, the powerhouse of the European community economy is Germany, and Germany is in recession. And why is Germany in recession? Because Germany is not importing energy from Russia. And so this Josep Borrell, like I said, he didn't take into consideration that there is a huge world out there and that it doesn't exist only between the EU and Russia. Now, as this article was published on Sunday, I would have let it go for that. I wouldn't even have mentioned it today, except that Josep Borrell yesterday published another article where he's a war hawk. He wants the new conscripts of the Ukrainian army to be trained harder and faster so that they can be sent to the front lines in the battlefield against Russia. And I wonder what could go wrong, when they said this. Because I know that in the UK, just to be accepted into the army, you go through a 6-week basic training course. And if you don't pass the course, then you don't go into the army, simple as that. And then you go on to the training of being a soldier. And so this Borrell, he's wanting the conscripts to be sent to the EU, have a quick training course, and then go back. And what you can't really force is experience on people. An experienced soldier will always do a lot more than an inexperienced soldier. And so, for sure, these 100,000 heads is wanted to be trained and to be sent to the front lines. I'm sure that they won't last very long. And I don't know. For me, that seemed a little bit out of touch. But, who am I? It's always good for a second opinion. And that will be our talking point for this podcast.
Well, picking up on your point about how people get there, there's an old rule that says everybody rises to their own level of incompetence, and some exceed it. It is these guys are career politicians. I mean, I don't know the guy. I mean, obviously, his name sprung on me. I don't know many people in the European Union, but the European Union, the Central Council, whoever he belongs to, is regarded as the dumping ground for incompetent politicians who need to go somewhere from their respective countries. Um, and as a certain British MEP said, not long after the Brexit debate, where the British people voted to leave the European Union, a lot of these people have never done a day's job in their life and never created anything really. Um, yeah, okay, we can all knock politicians. There are some good ones, some who do make the effort to actually try and understand how the world operates. Um, it is I mean, this thing about basic training, yes, as I've said in previous podcasts, I actually have my name down to do BT, the 6 weeks. You go there, have your head shaved, and don't need barracks, and they see what you're like as a person, if you're the person that they want or not. Yeah. Um, I think they're probably desperate for bodies on the front. I don't know how desperate the Russians are.
Bodies on the front, I'm sure they have. Live bodies, something else.
Well, um, yeah, I mean, when we're talking about, I mean, I don't know how desperate the Russians will be. I mean, they've got their own line of conscription going on, allegedly. We don't know what's happening exactly in Russia. Probably their best forces were still the Wagner forces, which, again, I can't imagine they've all just disappeared. They're probably about somewhere. They're probably the real hardened troops. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's not to say on either side there aren't good troops there. Um, it's a very, very strange situation. Um, the EU are desperately trying not to be involved and involved at the same time. I really don't know what they're up to. I mean, yeah, we've discussed this before. Um, yeah, they're doing everything they can to stop NATO being involved, it seems, in my opinion, from what you just told me. The one thing they don't want are actual other troops on the ground. Um, how do you?
Non-Ukrainian, you're talking about.
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, Russia have already made it quite clear how they'll consider non-Ukrainian nationals there.
Mm.
Which okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because even the I think the Wagner mercenaries were still Russian Russian na- Russian nationals. I'm not
But
sure.
that's a private army,
It's
and
a
so
private
you
army.
can't
Yeah,
really. Yeah, so they'll go where the action is, where the money is.
yeah. Well, that's it. But they're still yes mercenaries. But yeah, it's a very very. I, I've never seen anything. I mean, wars are wars. Wars are always messy. What
Yeah,
causes
sure.
how they happen? I mean, the war should be the last result, not the first. Um, anyone could look 2 years ago or 2 years before the invasion and see it was going to happen, and
Mm.
away everyone went, just ignoring it. What can Russia do? Well, they've proved that they haven't left yet. It's not the war that was going to be over by the Christmas. We're approaching Christmas now, 2 years on, is it? And the Russians are still there, not been driven out. Um, this thing about Russia are suffering, they've just found other markets. I mean,
Yeah,
anyone that don't I mean, let's be honest, Putin has been planning this for quite some time. I mean,
I wouldn't say he's been planning this,
well,
Mark. What I would say is that he's been aware of the situation in Ukraine
mm,
for a very long time.
well, yeah,
Ukraine has been in civil war
well, of course it
since
has, yeah,
2014.
yeah.
You
So,
know, where the west of Ukraine has been bombing the east of Ukraine since 2000, the Donetsk Republic,
yeah,
since 2014.
mm,
Uh, the, the Donetsk Republic has wanted to be independent of Ukraine
yeah, of course it has, yeah.
for a long time, and so
White Russians, yeah,
you don't have to be a genius
yeah,
to see eventually what would happen.
yeah. There's a media,
I think who's been ignoring it really has been the West.
yeah,
To be quite
exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, the media dubbed the little green men on the ground down there from Russia. Um, it. I mean, yeah, but again, this is politicians talking. Yeah, oh, it's all right to train, and they can learn how to shoot straight in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Anyone that's ever fired a rifle of any type, even an air gun, even an air rifle, will know it takes a bit longer than that to become
yeah,
competent. I mean,
hmm
if you start doing that, and then you're giving people live ammo wandering around, you're going to be shooting your mates next to you.
yeah.
Um, and it's a um, it's a very very complicated situation we find ourselves in. Um, I don't know the answer. I mean, at some point they're going to have to start talking because what's been proved here that they're running out of bodies. One
Yeah.
side is more or less all but admitting they're running out of bodies. Like I keep saying, bodies. They have troops on the ground.
Yeah.
What does that? What message does that send to Russia? Oh, we're running out of people, so now we're just going to go and send some amateurs in there, some guys, who don't want to be there, wandering around, playing soldiers. Um,
The the situation as I see it today is that the US has invested 100 up until now 140 billion dollars
mm,
in this conflict, and they're too far down the rabbit hole to all of a sudden turn their back on it because 140 billion. I think if the US was not involved
yeah.
in the conflict,
Mm,
it would have been resolved by now. I think Europe just doesn't want to. You make a European have cold feet
mm.
by not having energy to warm the house up,
Well,
and straight away you like there has been in Europe in conflicts, internal conflicts,
yeah,
because of the suffering that the Europeans have been feeling
yeah,
because of the sanctions against the Russian.
yeah,
Everybody complaining about sky high fuel prices,
yeah,
going up 100%, 150%. That's only being caused by the fact that Europe is not importing gas and oil anymore from Russia.
mm. Well,
And that would have been resolved a long, long time ago. Long time ago. It's just unfortunately, I think it's the US that have invested far too much money, and if the war stopped tomorrow,
mm,
uh, and the US would have to turn their back on the conflict and um, feel shame, feel shame, just like they did when they came out of
I was
Afghanistan.
going to say it's
But that's
Afghanistan
another
Mark Two.
story. I don't want to go into.
No, Afghanistan Mark Two. Yeah, I mean, it's incompetence all round, and I mean, you can probably hear Putin falling off his chair laughing at all this now. I mean, we can probably hear. I can hear it from here, and that's not to say I support Putin because, yeah, I do not support Putin in any of the actions. I do.
No, he's a naughty boy. He's
Yeah.
a naughty boy.
Well,
Zelensky's a naughty boy,
well, they all are. I mean, yeah.
and all politicians are naughty boys and
Well,
girls.
well, yeah. I mean, yeah. When you look at the collection of our senior politicians globally, I can't think of a time it's been worse. Yeah, you've got the occasional ones, and yeah, maybe you got the ones that are a bit extreme the other way. But I can't remember a time when they've all been well. What we've got now, which is
So naughty.
well, they're not even naughty. They, like you said, you've just highlighted this. The senior um, I nearly said clowns. The senior politicians are clowns, in my opinion. Um, yeah, okay, so the podcast, we don't like to give opinions directly, but I'm going to give it. A majority are complete and utter clowns. It's embarrassing to watch. You cringe. If you're somebody that's a bit educated, but on the other hand, they're trying to sort of have us uneducated by telling us what to think, um, we know that that's obvious, and they've got some accomplices and people compliant with doing it as well, and organisations and businesses. Um, we're now in for a very interesting time.